If one of the Twitter accounts is just Razor him, then you'll know.
Welcome to Behind the Sins, presented by CinemaSins.
Welcome to Behind the Sins, your weekly look at all things CinemaSins, TV sins, and commercial sins. I'm your host, Aaron, but not that Aaron, of course. And this week, I'm joined by CinemaSins staff member Deneé Hughes.
That's me!
That is you. Deneé, welcome.
I did it! I finally made it to the show. I've just been waiting outside the door for so long.
Yeah? You've been so eager to get back on a podcast that is tangentially related to movies?
I have been huffing and puffing to Aaron. Why am I not being invited on the show? What did I do? Why? What is happening? Do I need to slip him a 5? What's happening? What's going on?
It certainly wouldn't hurt your case, but
here is a payday. Which my dad loves those. I don't.
I like paydays.
Random information.
It's an underrated candy.
A candy that is just covered in actual peanuts. What?
And more salt than peanuts.
And filled with, it's not technically caramel. It's a nougat.
Yeah.
Who is so brave enough to just cover nougat in pure peanut and just wrap it up and say, "Here you go. Here's your payday."
I don't know, brave. But I'm thankful for them because
that's very brave. We should all be thankful.
Yeah.
Anyway, yes, hi, hello, hi. I'm finally here. Everybody else can wait their turn now. Hi.
Welcome, Deneé. I know you just got back from a really long road trip.
Yeah, we just had our 10-year anniversary get together in Nashville.
Oh, I really want to see that Mike Birbiglia show. It's just not around me yet.
Oh my God, it was incredible. So the brand is now 10 years old almost, and that's a big milestone for any YouTube channel, let alone one that releases as much content as we do. So we got everybody together, and I think it was 20-some people is the total that writes, edits, and manages the project that is this company. And we all got together and had a really nice dinner. And then the next night we went to the Sins team went to go see Mike Birbiglia at the Ryman, and it was incredible. He's going to be doing a show through December in New York City for a month. I think he starts in November, and then by I think the end of December is when his show ends. So maybe it's a 2-month kind of a show in New York City on Broadway. Please go if you're in the area. I don't usually enjoy comic shows, comedy shows, but that was one of the most incredible, well thought, well crafted art pieces I've ever seen. And it sticks with me. I've been thinking about it every single day. So there's 14 people that write, edit, and run the companies that operate the creation of, I think Ashley told me it was 400 videos a year.
Amazing.
There's people not in this picture that wouldn't be represented. There's some audio engineers that aren't here. There's some Photoshop and logo images that they're created that they're not on this photo. But this is the core team. Everything you see every week is because of the people in this picture. So what we do is we're starting to do a weekly post onto Patreon for a blog style. And this will be the post that goes out today. Yeah. So every Friday on Patreon, our patrons will have a behind the scenes sort of look into something going on. So we're going to use this picture today along with a little blurb about the Sins team getting together in Nashville. And then we release that same information the following week on our newsletter. So that way people can still see what's going on with the company and kind of get more of a look into what we're doing, but patrons will get it first. So our Sin Club members will get that stuff first. So
nice.
Yeah, and that's the core team. This is the people who create it. So our editors are the guy in the very bottom middle. That is one of our editors, and then the 3 beautiful women on the right, to the right of him, essentially, those are the editors as well. Daniel and myself. There's Ian, and then Aaron, Chris, and Jeremy. We all write. The guy in between Ian and Chris, there's 2 guys that are kind of side by side. One's in a hat and one's in a green shirt. That's Kevin and Keith. And then the woman that's kind of directly in the middle is Amelia. And they're all kind of help manage all of the in and outs of what we do if something happens on the website or something crashes or
Yeah.
just, we all have to kind of collaborate to like Sin Week, pulling Sin Week off. That's the Maiden team. So when we meet up in Nashville for Maiden stuff, that's the Maiden crew.
Yeah, no, that's great. I love it.
There's things that I could tell you behind the scenes that others can't. There's stuff that I manage that's different than writing that nobody else in the team does, is kind of what I was getting at.
All right, well, let's dive into the SinSide Scoop, because we have not just 5 videos to talk about this week, but 6 videos.
What's he building in there?
I've got a secret.
Pay no attention to that man behind the curtain.
This is a true story.
House of the Dragon is Monday's TV Sins video. This is an Ian and Jonathan script. This is the pilot for the show. Deneé, are you watching House of the Dragon?
Because I must. Because I must. Yes. But I am not enjoying it at all.
Well, were you a big Game of Thrones fan?
Yeah. So I read the books, but I stopped, I think, on the 3rd book because it was really interesting. I'm used to like a writer sort of when you're doing like a series that it sort of picks up where it left off, and then you're continuing on with the characters that you're really curious about. And there's a book, I think it's the 3rd, it's been a long time, where he starts that book off on a completely different continent with new people with like zero apology about it. And every time I start it, I get a few chapters in and I just can't keep going. It's the strangest thing. It's like a mental block for me. But I did really enjoy what I had read. And then, of course, I also knew that, at some point in time, the books and the show were going to go in opposite directions. So my incentive to keep up on the books was pretty low at that point. But I didn't mind Game of Thrones at all. I thought it was really fascinating. There's some things I wish that they had done differently. Obviously, as anyone usually feels when they watch content, there's something they're like, I didn't like that as much. And for me, I really feel like the book sort of hints more at the magicalness of it all, like the trees and the crow and like the children of the forest. Like it's peppered in a little bit more at certain times. And that was really absent from the show. But I also understand that they had to kind of pick what to focus on because it was so much content. It's kind of like asking Peter Jackson to do every single thing in Lord of the Rings. It's next to impossible unless you have like
he did as close as we'll ever get.
Yeah. But House of the Dragon for me, now I know this is just episode 1 that we're kind of covering, but even in episode 1, I really wasn't getting really excited about what I was seeing for whatever reason. I think I was most excited about episode 1, and it was kind of a medium excitement, and it's just declined from the medium point down to the negatives.
It's the childbirth, isn't it? That's the thing.
And it happens a lot, but I mean, yes, that's very, very annoying. But here's the thing: I feel like this show is people are interested because of Dany, like they kind of want to know where she came from and the history of the Targaryen family, which I understand. But I just don't think that this show does anything more than political. It's a very political show with gratuitous nudity because it's on HBO or whatever. To me, there's not like a really interesting character development.
Okay.
So I'm watching it because I have to. I can't wait for it to be over. I want it to be done. But I think some people on the team are liking it. So that's good. We operate using Slack. We have a Slack channel when we're doing a series, like when we're doing an InstaSin series or we're going to try to do an entire season of something. And we kind of have a way of chatting inside there. So if we're questioning something or needing to shoot an idea out, all the writers can kind of be on the same page. And there's really not a lot of activity in there. Not that they always do, but there's just not a lot to share there.
Yeah, it feels like, so I'm really liking the show.
Yeah.
I'm caught up, but it feels very different from like Game of Thrones, where especially those last couple seasons where like it premieres and you can have a bunch of people talking about it right afterwards. Like this doesn't really feel like that kind of show. Maybe it's because of all the time jumps, or maybe it's because it's a little bit more contained of a story.
Yeah, they're not really exploring a lot of different families. Yeah.
it doesn't really feel like that. Like, oh, we gotta stand around the water cooler and talk about it at work on Monday. Like it doesn't feel
No,
like that.
it
Whereas Game of
doesn't
Thrones
feel like
did.
that. No,
So
like, the chat for the Game of Thrones when we first kind of got into it was we shared a thing back and forth with each other to make sure that we spelled everyone's name correctly. And then there was a moment, so they didn't use the theme in the first episode, and then
yes.
spoiler alert, they do in the second. So things like that where we just want to make sure that we send it in the first one, but then what are we going to do when it does appear in the second? So we try to kind of be a little bit consistent about some of those things. And so I think we were all kind of excited about it, though, at this point. Like this point of our writing, I think everybody was kind of like, okay, what's this going to be about? And then, of course, we watched it and we send it.
I mean, speaking from like future knowledge and all that, like I'm liking the show. I think more than Game of Thrones so far. I was never huge into Game of Thrones, but I always kind of liked it. But
Mm-hmm.
because the show is more contained, and because it's not necessary for you to have seen Game of Thrones, but this is meant for people that have. So like they don't have to do all the world building that the first couple seasons of Game of Thrones did. So it really feels like they're just kind of diving into season 3 or 4, and so I am enjoying watching it more than I was, especially the start of Game of Thrones. But I think overall, I'm just enjoying it more because it was sensory overload. Game of
Yeah.
Thrones.
Yeah, I can see that. Good point.
This Sins video was written by Jonathan and Ian, as mentioned,
Mhm.
and there was quite a number of good things to enjoy about it. Requiring your counsel to start each meeting by placing their balls on the table.
And what are those fucking balls?
I don't know, and they don't really explain it.
No. We sent it in the next one too. I know for sure. I wrote on the next one, and I did the same thing. I'm just like, what is happening with these balls? So this will be a recurring sin.
There's not even like a casual reference of like only these people would have these balls, so we know that nobody's trying to impersonate them or whatever. But it's like, this isn't like Mission Impossible. People aren't impersonating other people.
And there's no consistency.
Like, yeah.
Yeah, I didn't like that one. That was one of the ones. That's one of the sins I really like too. When you're writing the next one, oftentimes the first one hasn't even gotten all the way through production yet. So it was really fun because when I end up writing about the balls in the next one, the writer was like, I wrote about the balls too. And it's like, listen to what we're saying to each other right now.
Love it. It's slack out of context.
Yeah. Oh my God. It would be such a segment for you. I'm not even kidding.
That'd be a really fun Twitter account. You just slack out of context, you just screenshot it and upload it, and that's it.
And that's just anyone from any company just uploading stuff. It would be really, really insane for ours, though, for sure. Because it's like, should we nude just the butt crack for fun, or should we blur it rather?
Well, listen, you feel free to upload slack out of context anytime to the CinemaSins BTS Twitter.
Yep, I can do that.
Let's see. Now I want to see a Batman series set in the Game of Thrones world. Well, assuming Discovery doesn't need another tax break and it suddenly disappears after it's complete. I want to see that Batman show too.
What? Right? Why wouldn't you?
Well, they've already done Batman in a samurai world, and they've done Batman in like a Jack the Ripper kind of story. There's no reason they've done Batman and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. There's no reason they can't.
There's
do
no
this.
reason not to. 100%.
Riding horseback is the hundreds equivalent of eating an apple. Sorry, riding on a black horseback.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Sometimes I'll see a sin and I'm just like, okay, whatever. And that.
Yeah.
I'm glad you liked that one. That was one where it's like, it's strange too because it's a very subjective thing. Like if I was on a script, I might be like, should we rewrite this one or should we cut this one? And you never know what you're gonna get. You never know.
And this might be the sin of the week for me. I was slayed by this one. This dragon looks pretty miserable, but I can't tell if it's from the death of Amma or if it's just depressed that it's only being brought out for funerals and special occasions, like it's the good family China.
Yeah, that's Ian. Yeah. It's true though, right? Like, and that's the fun part is when you could take a sin and you just keep adding to it. Like this dragon is depressed, but what does it look like? And what is a depressing thing and what happens? And I always find those are the kinds of sins where I'm like, man, that's good. I need to remember to try to dig in. Yeah, that was a good one. That was really good. I'm over here like the one that I like is I don't look like this naked.
I was just about to ask what are some of the. I have a couple more, but like, what are some of the ones you wrote?
Those kinds crack me up because I love when we sin ourselves. And I know that sometimes the audience is like, well, that's not a sin on the show. It's like, well, we're being silly, people.
Half the sins aren't really sins. Like that's kind of the point,
Yep. Yep. It's personal perspective. It's the person who's like, I don't like that because this, and
if people don't like that, I don't look good. I don't look this good naked, sin. Wait for Friday's video. So, I really like that one too. I just can't write down every sin that I really like. I have to.
I know, right?
Like otherwise, we'll sit here for 3 hours.
Forever.
And neither of us have 3 hours.
No, we don't, unfortunately. Then the other one that I liked is kind of on the opposite side of that, where I really feel like the sin about. So the lead-in was like, "What are you saying? My brother would murder me and take my crown." And the sin is essentially saying that this person, Viserys, has survived 9 years on the Iron Throne, being this fucking naive.
Mm-hmm.
I think that is a really good moment when a show is trying to bring in a new person and say, in this world, it's political violence to usurp each other for the sheer greed of this dangerous position of power. But like everyone should probably know that already, including Viserys, who should be, I don't know. So it was just like one of those things where this line was written for the naive people in the audience and not for the world itself. And I thought that was a really good sin.
Yeah. It was one of those you're just like, oh yeah, like how? And it's so weird because, all right, so in the show, in real time, Viserys is dead at this point.
Oh, we're doing spoilers. Cool. Yeah.
At some point, he's dead. Look, everybody knows he's going to die at some point, right?
At some point, yeah, he's definitely dies at some point. That's true. Yeah.
It's one of those things where like he is a good king, but also like he's unlike everything Targaryen that we've seen. So it's interesting.
Yeah.
Like, he doesn't have like a mad turn or he's not bad or whatever. So
yeah.
Anyway, I'm gonna spoil the way that he doesn't die because this sin frustrates me so much because when he's talking to his daughter, he's talking to Rhaenyra about the Iron Throne. He's warning her about the things about the winter is coming essentially, and the narrator's like, you want to say winter is coming? Just say it. Just say it.
Yeah.
But the narrator is like, but that's not all. Warn her about the tetanus. And it's so frustrating because I thought that was going to be a big thing, and it's not. Like, he doesn't die from tetanus. So, like, that's the spoiler. He doesn't die via that. But then why include it? Other than to show that it's still rough around the edges. But there's easier ways to do that. You could just have it be a cut, not a cut that is clearly infected in episode 2. Anyway.
Yeah, it's frustrating. I understand your frustration.
This is my last thing I wrote down is which I wrote just that down, and then that sin shows up in a later video. I was like, all right, now I have to specify these or I'm gonna forget the content.
Yeah, while you're prepping for this show, you have to write down a lot of the lead in and context, because if you just write on the sin, it's like, wait, what? Yeah, they all kind of blend together as time goes on. You'll notice.
I didn't write this down, but me and my wife did really appreciate the kind of juxtaposition of the childbirth versus the jousting competition. I thought it was really artfully done. So I'm glad there was a sin removal for that. That's all I have for the video. Do you have anything else today?
No, I think we covered it.
Cool. Well, that'll move us to Tuesday's video, which is Halloween Kills. Chris and Jonathan script because it's a horror film.
Mm-hmm.
Deneé, this is like your favorite movie ever, right? Like you live and breathe these Halloween movies, right?
I'm really glad that you know this about me. First of all, thank you for knowing me so well. Yes, I love the Halloween series so much because murder and fear and
movies, yeah,
and movies. It's like the trifecta of happiness for what I want to do with my mental space.
Yeah. Well, and this one specifically, because this has the highest body count of any of the Halloween movies.
It's just people dying a lot, Yeah. It's basically you walk into a room where someone is holding a weapon and then just spinning like a cyclone, and then people are just running into the cyclone and then just falling over dead. That's essentially this movie.
Kind of. Although, as you're describing that, I'm imagining more of like an Abbott and Costello or Looney Tunes kind of tone, and I kind of want to see this movie recut in an Abbott and Costello vibe. Anyway,
I will say about this, anytime that Jonathan and Chris pair up for their mutual love of horror, and that they've written on so many things like this, they just have this knowledge of the content going in. Like, if you were going to drop me into this for whatever reason, let's just say that I was super open to watching a horror film and sinning it, there's so much that I would be confused about in some ways that they'd have so much more of an idea of where you are in the the flow of the franchise and then how it doesn't make sense in on itself. They'll have conversations back and forth because I'm in, every single Slack channel. I get to kind of like peek in on the conversations that they have inside of these moments. And it's just like they literally are just having long chats about this doesn't make sense because then this happened and da 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 da, right? And they're just
Yes.
like talking back and forth. So if you're a fan of the series and you watch these, I just there's always something really amazing about having a writer that understands the subject matter on
Right.
like a really deep level. It's also nice to be paired with someone who has no idea because then you have kind of the pendulum swing of
Hmm.
perspective. But yeah, these kind of blow my mind.
Well, and I don't blame you for not like this series has the most confusing timeline, like including X-Men, and X-Men has a wonky timeline that
Yeah,
nobody understands, but like this series has had essentially 4 reboots in 13 films, 12
that's
films.
a
So
lot.
like it's so many. And I would explain it to you, but you don't care.
Uh,
So that's fine.
no, well, I mean, if there's a Halloween fan listening, they might want to kinda hear you talk about it, so that, like, if you wanna talk about it, that's totally fine with me. I personally
There's
won't be following as much, but that's okay.
So there's the original film, and then there's a sequel to that. And then they made a
Okay,
spin-off that's completely unrelated. They
okay.
wanted to make it an anthology series. And then that tanked at the box office, and everybody was like, we want Michael Myers back. And so they made a
Oh,
sequel to the second film again. So that's kind of reboot number 1. It's not really, but
okay.
it's a redirection for the franchise. So then they
Oh,
make
okay.
4, 5, and 6, which are all in the first timeline. And then they reboot it to where the only films that are canon are the very first 2. And they're like, we're making a
Wow.
sequel. And then they make that one, and then and then a sequel to that film. And then 5 years later, there's a complete reboot of remaking the original Halloween, and then a sequel to that.
Holy
And then the
shit.
2018 film is another reboot that says the only film that's canon is the original 1978. And then this is a sequel to that one.
That's insane.
There are 4 timelines and 1 random anthology film.
It's wild to think that in order to enjoy a movie, you may have to reference a flow chart.
Well, so and this is why this Sins video was so perfect, because this movie is the sequel to the film that was 2018, which is only a sequel to the original one. So the way that Jonathan and Chris talk about like how this movie is silly because of its callbacks, but they're calling back to movies that no longer canonically exist in this timeline. You know,
Oh, yeah, and I
so like
appreciate that too. So, like, I kinda, like, flipped through the Sins video. I didn't watch it, like, in depth to, like, absorb knowledge. I just kinda, like,
sure,
I skimmed it a little bit, but I did notice that too, like, that and that's the fun part about watching the Sins videos if you're not gonna watch a movie, is we inadvertently try to kind of tell the audience what's happening to remind them just in case it's been a hot minute. So, sometimes we'll write a sin to be like, the movie is trying to do this here and this is why it doesn't work. And
right.
when you have those kinds of inconsistencies, writing like that really helps,
Well,
I
and
think.
here's the thing: like, there's a sin that perfectly describes this, where the somebody says Michael Myers has haunted this town for 40 years.
Yeah. That's a long fucking time.
Well, and then the sin goes on to explain. All right, so this is a sequel to Halloween 2018, but it takes place the same night. But
Okay,
that
that's right. Yep.
but that is a direct sequel to only the original film, which only the original film, the only like Mike kills a couple of babysitters and their boyfriends, and that's it. And then I guess according to this one, a cop as well. Somebody would not have terrorized the town for 40 years for one person going on a, I think there's like a
2-night binge?
five body count. Well, but the
Uh-huh.
way that they're talking about it, it's the beginning of this movie, so they wouldn't even known about Michael attacking tonight. So it's like, is one town really haunted by like
Right.
3 murders one day? It doesn't make any sense.
It's a valid sin is what you're saying. Woo!
It's the best sin. And then there's also another sin later where they asked Jamie Lee Curtis, like, what should we do? And she's like, we fight. We always fight. And I just think it's
Yeah.
hilarious because I just binged all of these movies,
Oh, did
and
you okay, okay.
they never fight. They always like they run. Like they don't
That's how
know
you
how to
fight.
fight because you can't kill Michael Myers. So they run. The lead character winds up fighting, but it's a self-defense fight. It's not an active proactive anything like that. So it's like They don't fight. Like, they run. What a stupid line. Anyway.
There was another sin too that was kind of like about there's discrepancies, and there's this clever sin. The guy says like, "Shit, I forgot my stethoscope." And the sin is,
Yes.
"It's too bad Marcus doesn't make it to Halloween Ends. We could have had a trilogy of him forgetting his stethoscope." And that's just such a deep cut, right? Like you have to know the content and the movies for that one to make sense. But
Well, and I didn't remember him, but the Sins video made sure to point out, oh, they're continuing this joke. He forgot his stethoscope at the beginning. I'm like, I didn't even know that guy was in the first.
like the ones that I'm gonna enjoy are ones like, how about that sassy tackle? And then the sin is like checking your gun inventory while in a hospital parking lot. Like, that stuff is gonna like capture my attention because I can follow it without any context. But there was some serious deep cuts in this one too. So
Yeah, and along with the stethoscope guy, being a part of the medical profession is great. On a night where all these people are getting hurt and killed, you should maybe just work at the hospital instead of trying to kill this guy.
yeah.
Michael Myers apparently knocked on the back door and then ran around to the front house of the door, only to come back to the back door when Little John isn't looking, and I can't imagine a shot I'd like to have seen more in this movie. And it's one of those where, like, Michael never sprints. He never runs. He just walks in a straight line. I kind of want to see him, like, you know, knocking and, like, giggling and, like, running to the, like, sprinting to the back and knocking. And, that scene was one of those where, like, my imagination just ran wild. It's great. So,
Good stuff.
again, potential for sin of the week is if a woman brought an iron, somebody brought handcuffs.
It got you. You're cracking up.
It's
I
so
love
good.
that.
Because they're just pointing out that, like, this person brings a hockey stick. Like, fair. Not a bad weapon to bring to a mob fight. And this person brings a bat, and this person brings the, like... But nobody brings handcuffs. If this woman brought an iron, somebody brought handcuffs. There's a cop with handcuffs. Like... Yeah.
One of the ones I really liked is... So when we sin how much time a movie has left, like, it's easy to say, this movie has 20 minutes left. Ding.
Mhm.
You know, like, you know, just... you could state the obvious, but the sin is this movie has around 13 minutes left, and it feels like at least 11 of them are spent on Allison and Cameron staring at this door. I love sins like this because the sin is obviously that this moment is taking a really long time, but it's just cleverly written. So that's an example of how when people want to try to kind of write in the fashion that the channel sounds like, it's finding a way to sin staring at a door in a clever way. And that's an example of how I really like that one a lot. That was clever.
Also cleverly worded is these guys are incredible at fighting fires, but terrible at fighting Myers.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Wordplay.
Wordplay, man. How does it work?
Add it to the supercut.
Uh-huh.
That's pretty much all the ones I wrote.
Yep. Me too. Me too. Yeah.
It's a lot of them. I think potentially my favorite video of the week. So
Ooh. Very nice.
it's either that one or the next one. But I did have two comments that I wanted to highlight, though. One of them is Crashburn32 on YouTube says Jamie Lee Curtis's hospital bed should have gotten a credit in this movie. And then the other one is just the YouTube comments were just littered about, like, why didn't you guys do a bonus round on Evil Dies Tonight? Or, like, how did you not sin that at all? And explaining to you, Deneé, there's this mob mentality, right?
Mm-hmm.
And their chant is Evil Dies Tonight. And they say it probably like 600 times in this 90-minute movie. And it's annoying, and everybody has hated it since the second that it came out.
Yeah.
And it would have very easily been a bonus round, but, like, that's why it's not done, right? Is because it's so easy, and the internet has already CinemaSinsed it for the last year, right? Like,
yeah, there are sometimes it just, and honestly, there have been several times I've written entire bonus. By the way, writing a bonus round is not easy. It takes a very detailed amount of time to timestamp every single thing that you're going for. And then, of course, the editing team puts it together, and then you watch it, and sometimes you cut it right at the very end because you're just like, this just doesn't work like I wanted it to work.
it's also a 24-minute video. It's not lacking for content.
Yeah. So I did a bonus round for Romancing the Stone where I added up, I'm not kidding you, all of the bullet sounds.
Oof.
Because this movie is Rambo meets romance. And when they start to shoot the guns, it was so annoying. And it was absolutely overkill. So if you watch Romancing the Stone, every single time a bullet was fired, I was keeping track. And we got to the end of the video, and the way that I had written it like I had done all this work, the editors had done all this work, and Chris and I just looked at it and were like, it shifts the pacing. So it was cut in the very last minute, despite all the work. So there's all kinds of things that make the cutting room floor. So yeah, you never know. Like sometimes we'll do it like in something really like really cool that just doesn't seem right. So you never know. There might have actually been a bonus round. I mean, there wasn't, but
world will never know.
There might have been.
Oh, the world will know now.
Yeah. I didn't let that one linger too long.
That should take us to Wednesday's video then. Rick and Morty, season 6, episode 2. You still having fun with the show?
Yeah. This one's fun for me. Although Jerry is now at the point where he's so annoying to me that I want him to die. So
fair. This is an Ian and Aaron script. What are some of the sins that you really liked, Deneé? Why don't you kick us off this time?
Oh, okay. I really enjoyed the foie gras sin, honestly. I remember the first time I found out what foie gras was. I was disgusted and also curious. I've never eaten foie gras, for the record, so I don't know.
For the listeners, do you want to explain what it is?
Yeah. It's made out of the liver of like a duck or a goose.
I think so, yes. I did a very brief Google search, which was one of my keeping tabs. Was just I had to Google what that is.
But it's been fattened up, so like it's not like the goose had an extra helping one day, and so its liver was like feeling it, and then they harvest the liver. They do something called fattened up with gavage. Okay, so gavage is the administration of food or drugs by force, especially to an animal, typically through a tube leading down the throat to the stomach. So this is essentially torture.
Yeah.
So they food torture a goose or a duck to make their liver massively huge, and then you eat it.
That's how I want to go.
No, you don't. You liar. You liar. You don't want to die like that. No one wants to die like that. And I am glad that we sin foie gras.
Me too. And I am also just personally happy it's illegal in California and New York City. I would say let's just make it illegal.
Let's just say no to it anywhere. It must taste a certain way. I don't know. People, it's a delicacy, or whatever, but
yeah, but I like goose. They're cute.
Well, yeah. I like not torturing things just so that you can get a big fat fucking liver.
That too.
I liked the pocket sin, obviously.
Of
anytime
course.
That somebody can pick up my disdain for the lack of pockets. Let's go. Let's just like have pants with pockets. I'm ready. Yeah. You know what? Jenko jeans are coming back. They're super in style. I'm ready for it. I'm gonna go find a pair of Jenko jeans that has a pocket large enough for my child to fit in, and I'm gonna live a happy life, and that's that.
I don't know that the FDA would be, or not FDA, CPS would be fine with you putting your child in a pocket, but I agree with the sentiment.
Yeah, okay,
I don't think the FDA would be fine with that either, but I don't think that's their responsibility.
Just in general, no one would be, so
yep.
I always get like a little bit of like this sense of pride with our Rick and Morty videos because they are hard to sin, and this season especially is so self-aware. So we're gonna have the same the same problem, quote unquote problem, that we have every single Rick and Morty. Every time we talk about Rick and Morty, it's gonna be there too. But the Rick is a dick for no reason, even knowing his dickishness will short circuit his own plans cliche is fun because there are some that exist just for Rick and Morty, and that felt like a fun way of kind of poking fun at that. What about you? What are some of the ones you liked?
Still better than most religious music.
Yeah. Great. I like the one about the reading on the toilet, aka committing a hemorrhoidian slip, aka boarding the pulmonary embolism express.
Yep. We all have friends who mangle movie quotes. This one is for them. And I also kind of feel like there's definitely doing this podcast sometime. I'm like, the sin is like this or something along those lines. So I'm also like, this sin's kind of for me too, because I'm not like saying the exact sin some of the times. If Jons had studied Die Hard so much, wouldn't it make sense to improve upon the mistakes in the first movie rather than repeat them? And
a good point.
Same tricks?
A good point.
Excellent point. Don't throw bare feet in glass houses or whatever.
Yeah. or whatever.
Amazing.
Like the little throwaway at the end. I also like the title, the sex tape one that I couldn't find it. So I'm standing in the general area with a microphone, and the sin is exactly how my sex tapes get made. Funny shit.
I think that's all I had. Are you good? You
Yeah.
content?
Yep.
So that'll take us to Thursday's video. Sweeny Todd, the Demon Barber of Fleet Street. Now, before we actually get into the video, I was asked this, and I was curious myself, was this changed in the schedule at all? Because I know that Sweeny Todd, obviously October, and I know that the show is getting ready to premiere on Broadway again, or at least I assume again. It's a Sondheim, so I would assume it's already been on Broadway. But I know it's going to come back to Broadway. But the other thing is Angela Lansbury, who passed away this past week, was the original Mrs. Lovett in the original stage production. So was this video schedule changed due to any of those circumstances?
No, this was a total, this happens all the time. Just these random kind of we're just in the vein of some universal approval of when we release our videos. So this was actually in the schedule 2 months ago. This was not intentional. It just, obviously Sweeny Todd is like a Halloween-esque sort of thing. And so it kind of got put on the schedule for this time of year, but it wasn't something where we were able to really plan for it. So this was an accident.
This is a Jonathan and Ian script this time. Deneé, I'm curious because, all right, so you're not a big movie person and you're definitely not a big horror person, but this is a musical. Is this a film that you'd seen before or a play or anything?
So I watched a little bit of it. I think when it came out, I really liked Tim Burton and his quirkiness. And, those sort of there was a series of time where it just seemed like we had Coraline coming out and we had Nightmare Before Christmas come out and, these different things like that. So this one was on my radar and I started watching it, I think. And so I remembered when I was scanning through the video that some of it looked familiar to me, but I never watched it all the way through. I wonder if I would like it though. So it's not what I'm opposed to watching.
Well, are you a big musical person?
I don't know. I watch them sometimes. I'm not as passionate about them, I think, as maybe Aaron Dicer.
Sure.
Sometimes I think that storytelling through singing is really, really powerful because music is there's a universal language to it. There's a way that when the music crescendos, you don't have to understand language to feel the emotion of music. And so I think that when you add a story to it, like if you're going to go to the opera or if you're going to watch a musical, I think that it can really aid the storytelling. But sometimes I feel like for me in a musical, there's this moment when it's and now we're singing a song. And I find myself going, so is this in their imagination or is this in real life? And there's to me, there's always this sort of element of where it shifts it out of what could be because it just seems so much of a far stretch. But there again, I am someone who actually in my everyday life sing a song every day because I love singing as I do my life. And Iris is the same way now because I'm her mom. And so we will sing back and forth to each other. We'll lay in bed at night and she'll sing about things she loves about me and things that she thinks about her day just from her own heart. And then it's my turn and then I'll sing back to her. And then sometimes we'll sing at the same time. She'll say, okay, now we sing together. So we're literally living a musical. So it does happen and it is fun and that's real and it's my real life. But somehow when I see it, sometimes in content, it distracts me. So it just sort of depends on how it's presented. I've been told that I would really like a few musicals that have come out, like La La Land. I think it's all in the storytelling, just like in anything that you watch or anything that you listen to. It's how it's presented. I'm not going to love every opera, but there's some that I'm really going to enjoy just because of how it's put together or how it makes me feel. So Sweeny Todd is kind of one of those ones where I don't know that I would be yes, because it's a musical and because it's Tim Burton or that has that vibe or whatever, I'm going to love it. Everything is something that I could not enjoy.
Sure.
That's fine. That's all right. That's just how I am.
Can I recommend one to you that I think that you would personally really love?
Yeah, sure.
It's not a movie, so great. It's called Hadestown.
Okay.
My wife and I got a chance to see it in February, and it is the story
Is
of
it on
Orpheus.
Broadway?
It is. We saw it traveling.
So when we were in New York last year, I saw an advertisement for it. It looked really interesting.
It's the story of Orpheus, but the musical style is New Orleans jazz.
Wow.
So it's Greek mythology in this
That's fun.
yeah, it's great.
I love that.
And it has a really good message at the end. So anyway, yeah, Sweeny Todd is, I mean, Sondheim did the lyrics, and he's considered, one of the best of all time. West Side Story, probably the biggest standout. Like, he's kind of like the goated in the like musical theater world, and I really like this movie. I think I've only seen it once about 5 years ago, but I really, really liked it, and I thought the music was great. It's got a relatively straightforward plot. It's nothing necessarily special, but like, aren't all musicals kind of that way to some degree? So aren't all movies that way to some degree?
To some
Whatever.
degree.
If you're enjoying the ride, if you're enjoying the music, it's fine. So, and I really enjoy the music, and I really enjoyed the movie. So, Jonathan and Ian writing on this, as I said. Let's get into it. Continent hopping should never be allowed in a song. If I'm trying to visualize your journey, I now have to think about what airport you went to, what flight you took, and how long the flight was. It's exhausting being me, which leads me to my behind the scenes for this video.
Yeah.
On the continent hopping in a song, Sin, how much research went into tracking the path before just writing a medicine?
I think it was a sin that was just written for joy's sake. I asked about it, and my interpretation of their reply was that not as much information was gathered before just writing a silly sin. So there really wasn't a lot of research on that one. It was just sort of a fun like poke, I think. Sometimes though, you got to be careful if you write some. So I've written a sin before that was sort of similar to this, and then your co-writer's like, well, what's the research on it? And then you're like, okie dokie, we're going back to the drawing board on this one. And then good stuff comes from it. So, but in this case, it was just silly as is, and it kind of went to print. This is another one of those oohs you're talking about.
Oohs, yep. After Alan Rickman says he's going to marry his daughter to keep her safe.
Creepy.
Call me adventurous, but speed is not a stipulation I ever put on an individual with a sharp blade to my face.
Yeah. There's something so unnerving about this. Like, these close shave things. Like, I don't shave, obviously. You do. Do you ever use one of those straight things? Like, have you ever done one of those before?
I have like one of the ones that you like actually put a razor blade in it, but no, not a straight edge.
Would you ever do that? Like, I feel like we don't need to anymore,
I keep stubble. It's kind of my look.
Wait, hold on. Do you mean you keep it like in a jar?
I mean, my facial hair default is I'm never clean shaven.
So like if you're building your character on a video game, you're always like the 5 o'clock shadow guy.
Yeah, I mean, maybe a little bit darker than that. But yeah, I don't go ever like clean shave or no razor guard or anything like that. So I've been doing it on my head recently because I'm bald. So, I mean, I've considered like if I want to go somewhere professionally that's going to get a smaller cut on bald, but whatever, on my head. But
would you do it?
I don't think a straight edge. But plus,
Why?
I don't really want to pay somebody $30 to do what I can do.
Okay, let's say I paid them $30. Let's say I did it. Would you do it? Like, would you sit down in a chair and let someone else straight razor your throat?
I would do my research to make sure the person is professionally trained, not just
correct.
Whatever. Yeah,
they have a certificate on the wall that is current.
Yeah, but again, I feel like if I were to shave my face, I feel like a special occasion. So like my wedding, I would have gone and gotten a straight razor shave.
Right.
Like that would have been an instance where I could be like, you know what, let's spring for this, let's do it. I would not attempt it myself, but yeah, that's kind of what I would go to a professional. I would do my research, and for a special occasion, I would do it.
Okay.
But not just an everyday.
What if the special occasion was because the BTS fans wanted you to do it?
Again, maybe my head.
We'll
see.
So it's a hard no. This is a no.
How about this? Get this episode's tweet a number of likes, and I'll do it.
Whatever.
Like 30 likes.
30
that's
likes.
Not hard.
That's not too hard. That's not too hard.
That's not too hard. 30 likes on this week's episode, and I will get pictures. I can
easily make 30 fake Twitter accounts, and we'll just
you could.
Make
and
this
if you
happen.
want to do that to see me get my head shaved with a straight razor.
If one of the Twitter accounts is just razor him, then you'll know. You'll know it's me.
Yeah, so this episode, 30 likes on Twitter. We'll do it.
Okay.
Cool. Yeah, sorry about your poisoned wife and stolen kid, but look, I saved you pretty knives.
That was good.
I think the song was the original Every Breath You Take, which I love this song. Joanna is the one. It's the like clear standout from the soundtrack. It's great. As the narrator points out all the things that it's like, this kind of doesn't actually make sense. Like, look, it's a stage play, whatever. But I think the song was the original Every Breath You Take, as in the song that everyone thinks is sweet until you take a closer look at the lyrics. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I just love the energy Jeremy brings when they're talking about the like, where does this shoot go? It goes through, like, because they're talking about the different angles, and it's like the shoot doesn't make any logical sense to get down to the basement. And then the narrators go, "Don't you say it's mirrors or some shit, because I will put you in a pie."
Yep.
But that's all I had. That's it.
That's it.
On to Friday's video, the Old Spice fourth Old Spice in the saga. That's not it, but
that's the point.
I guess
that's the point.
Since we're here, who actually did the whistle at the end of the video?
Chris.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
I know it's been a running gag for the. I really hope, and I think some of the comments alluded, or some of the Discord alluded to, like, they probably like had Aaron whistle and then they edited it in.
No, that was all Chris. There was the loop that was played from the show itself, obviously.
Right.
And then the gag, of course, is that he was faking it to say that he nailed it, and then it plays over and over again, and he's like, "Fuck, make it stop!" And then he goes to whistle himself, and it's this sort of pathetic, not quite there attempt that he's very proud of anyway.
Yeah.
I happen to had the pleasure. So right now, Ian is in the United States, and that means he's like staying with Dicer, and then we're all traveling together, and we all co-work a lot. So I was actually around as he wrote this one, and it's really fun when you have a writer that's so passionate about something. And Ian sending these commercials was a delight to observe, because he's just so proud. He had such a good time writing it. And it always feels good to watch like your team like really having a good time. So when the edit came through and all the visuals came together and the narration came together, he was watching it with his headphones on, just cracking up laughing. And it's just a lot of fun. Commercial Sins is a really fun space because it's one writer. So you're not collaborating with another writer. And it's a lot of pressure in a way as well, because it's just you. So there's nowhere to kind of hide. There's no one that's adding their own things to it. Now, Chris does potentially decide to do some edits as he gets to the narration. Like, he'll read through his script that he has to narrate, and he might decide to make a couple last minute changes. That's always something that the narrator can do on any channel. If they're reading a script and something just doesn't feel right, they have full permission to cut it, change it, whatever they want to do, add something if they want to. So that's not abnormal to have happen, but it seemed like this one kind of just went off almost exactly how, if not exactly how, Ian had imagined it. And that kind of brought his series to a close. So, because commercials is a fun place where you can kind of like go at a specific kind of brand. Like I did the emu one for, I think it's State Farm or whatever.
Liberty Mutual.
Yeah, that's it. Liberty Mutual. So when I get back into that one, I might like go for another emu commercial just to kind of like keep up the theme. So
yeah, there seems to be a lot of like, this seems to be a fan favorite. At least in Discord. So
oh, it's fun. Yeah, and that's the other thing too, is Commercial Sins is sort of a space where we have more of a conversation about it, because we get fans that tweet us on, suggestions too, and very rarely can we turn around and follow through a fan suggestion on like main channel or even on TV Sins. But with Commercial Sins, it's so different. Like we can actually, in fact, when we started the channel, the question I tweeted out to get ideas of like, what can we do? And wrote down every single suggestion. And then we've gone through almost every single suggestion at this point, which is why some of the sins that we've done, or some of the commercials that we started out with, were like really old ones or like strangely specific ones. We actually did the ones that the fans wanted first, which was fun.
And as a fan, I appreciate that, because I felt seen.
It's fun.
Because I suggested the Jake from State Farm, which is like, that's an obvious.
Like, oh yeah. And then there's some from like, there's like the Folgers one, I think, that was with the siblings when the brother came home, and it was like this oddly incestual sort of vibe. Like that was a fan suggestion. I don't know that I would have ever found. So there's so many commercials out there. The tricky part is that they're getting shorter and shorter and shorter. Like commercials used to be at least a minute long, and now they're like 15 seconds, some of them. So we have to kind of find ones that make sense. But
but what are, before I steal all the sins again, what are some of the ones that you wrote out of this one?
Oh my gosh, well, we could just literally read this entire thing if we wanted to. The lead-in is take your body, nature, and the sin is like, no, thank you. Nature has bugs, cholera, and if my TV is to be believed, dickhead hosts that bribe you into doing random challenges until you're begging for the sweet release of death. Sometimes they even make you do it with no clothes and while terrified. Wake up, sheeple.
So, wasn't intending this. Was Ian already a Naked and Afraid fan, or was that just consequence of living with Aaron?
It's a consequence of living with Aaron.
Naked and Afraid and Survivor. Yep.
Ian is working out his, and this is something that we all do in our scripts. I'm sure BTS fans are very, very aware of this. Like we all work out our own shit through our writing. As long as we can find a healthy, humorous outlet for it, I think it's okay. But yeah, that's definitely one. Like I'm working through birth trauma apparently, and Ian is working through reality TV trauma. So that's one of the reasons I love this, is because behind the scenes, again, I kind of know like there are people who like start this stuff and live in the woods and for money. So
yeah. What are some other ones?
We're supposed to want to smell like axe murderers now. Fuck. It was really funny to me. I really like the stop yelling at me. Like I think the lead-in was something about
it's Terry just coming out of the water and just going, ah!
Yeah. Which Terry is so funny in these commercials because he's so over the top, and that's part of the joy of these commercials. It's just
it's the joy of Terry Crews.
Yes. So
but I do prefer like the clever, like the other guy. I don't remember his name.
Oh, they're
like,
great.
I do prefer the more subtle, like, look at your man, back to me now. I'm gonna whore.
Yeah,
like,
I love those. That was really fun. When those commercials came out, it was so random and unexpected, and just the cleverness of them using the camera space, like the setup. But these are delightful because Terry Crews he's just so
he's amazing.
He's so energetic. So
this yelling one was like, what the fuck is going on? Why are you yelling? Holy shit, I'll buy your damn body wash. Stop yelling at me.
Yeah. It's also funny because like for the BTS fans specifically, you guys can probably hear like Ian's voice as he would say that. But then you also get to hear Chris's voice as he narrated it. And that's such a fun trip for those of us who really are like behind the sins of it all. Is I know that's an Ian sin, and I can hear him like just like freaking out and ranting about it. But then it's performed by my other friend Chris, and so that's just a fun juxtaposition. So I just found myself smiling a lot through this one. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I mean, I could I could just list.
Yeah, we literally could just read this one. Yeah.
I guess I'll just like to ask. I really liked adding the math equations when Terry launches the other guy in the air. Is that a writer's prompt or an editor's? Well, I should have had you prep an answer.
Oh no, I can look it up.
Think
really
about
quick.
It until now.
So
because I know like there was an example recently. It was the changing of the letterings on the sign.
Yes.
And Aaron said that the editors just did that.
Yeah. So we're really having a good time with the and Commercial Sins is a super place to experiment with creativity from the writer's perspective and the editing perspective. And sometimes they just get this idea and they'll just sort of like reveal it to us when we're looking at the edits, and then we kind of as the writers get to go, yeah, that super amplified what I was trying to do, and trim it down or add to it or whatever. So in this case, the editor instructions were to add I'd like to add some math angles to the bottom of the boat as it lifts, and then an arrow showing the trajectory of Isaiah as he leaves the boat, as if the narrator is trying to do the math on how this all worked. So from that instruction, the editor was able to create visually, and we never know exactly what it'll look like. So in this case, it's like, this is kind of what I want to do. Is this possible? And we'll talk about that a little bit too in the outtakes for Frozen here in just a second. Like, you give an idea and then you see if it actually works or if it's something the editor is comfortable with doing. I thought that worked really, really well.
Well, and it seems fun too, because it feels like you have a good enough relationship with the editors, and like that you're kind of being like, here's the start of the idea, but like use your abilities to make it like best.
Yeah. And you lean into other creative people. Like, I know my strengths and weaknesses. I don't know what the editor is going to be comfortable doing. Like, I could say, can we Photoshop this person's face onto this person and do this kind of thing and blah, blah, blah. Like, because there was one that I did recently that was super, super fun, and the editors just killed it. It's not out yet. Oh, I can't tell you about it. There was just, it was really, really fun though, because in the edits, like you just describe it and you're like, can you superimpose this person's face onto Indiana Jones? Like, you know, the Indiana Jones scene when Indiana like shoots the guy that was using his whip all crazy or this. So I did that it's going to come out and hopefully you guys will remember this and be like, oh my God, Deneé is a genius. But there's this moment where I superimpose the character's face onto Indiana Jones and then he shoots the other character in the distance. And it worked out really, really well. And they're just having a lot of fun with it. So we're kind of entering into this
so much.
We're kind of into this really fun space.
3 more I'll just mention. There's a Let's Talk About the Villain's Plan, which I never thought we would get in Commercial Sin, but I love it. And then there's 2 that are linked together. One of them says, I may as well crawl back inside the room from whence I came and hope to get reabsorbed for all the chance I have of contributing to the gene pool whilst these 2 specimens exist. As well as, how am I supposed to keep sleeping at night knowing these brands are now having a fucking civil war to get my attention? Trust me, I'm not worth it. And I just wanted to bring those up to ask Ian, are you okay? Seems to be a lot of like self-deprecating jokes in this one. Just checking in on you.
He's doing all right. He's just working through some stuff, I think. We're all witnessing. We're all witnessing it.
Well, as a little reaffirmation, Ian, since you're listening, neither of these men can grow a beard like you can. So
that's right.
Take that.
That's right.
You have a one up on them.
That's right.
Maybe they could, but they don't. Don't think about it too much.
Don't think about it. Just accept it.
And for the first time ever, that'll take us to Saturday's video. I mean, there's been Saturday videos, but for the 10th anniversary recent.
Yeah, surprise.
And I've been waiting so long to say this because Aaron would always combine names, and I don't do it because I don't have as good diction as other Aaron. But he would be like, this is a Watkinson script. And I would, Jonathan and Chris. No, but I've had this one in the canon since BTS started. This is a Deneé Aaron script.
Deneé
Aaron script. So,
yeah, it is.
Aaron and Deneé on this one. Woo!
Yeah, this one was fun. It's fun. So we are re-sinning leading up to our 10-year anniversary. We're doing 10 re-sins where we're going back in time and pulling out some that we wanted to give another stab at. And I think the reason that Chris put this one onto the schedule, I didn't ask him specifically. I'm making a massive assumption here, but I think it's because I wrote on Frozen 2 and I wondered if he wanted to have a female voice again on Frozen. You know what I mean? Like to kind of go back and add a different, like a Deneé perspective or a female perspective on it. Cause it's come out fairly recent. You know, it's not like it was one done, 10 years ago or something, but yeah. So we just gave another stab at it. And there's going to be others. So be watching.
Specifically 9 others.
Yeah, be watching every Saturday for the next 9 weeks. We're going to be doing the same exact thing where we have another stab at a classic. And I'm going to be on one other one for sure. But yeah, we're all just writing our little butts off these days.
So I want to kick off with my one keep behind the sins question. How is it writing on a video that's already been done? Like, I mean, the videos were much shorter when these were released, but did you ever come across a joke where you loved it, but you had to cut it because it was in the original video?
I decided not to watch the original video, and Aaron did the same thing. So we actually wrote our entire script without referencing the original material at all. And then after we put ours together, watched the original. And there are some crossovers. And then there's also some things that we missed. And interestingly, there's some things that we cut from our script that they covered in the first one without us knowing it. So, and that was interesting too, because like
character growth.
I would make a strong, like I was like, I think we should just cut this. It's a little argumentative, but it's actually in the first video. And so I think I asked to cut one of Aaron's and he was like, well, it's interesting because it was in the first video. And I'm like, well, good. We covered it there. So, yeah, we actually kind of,
so it's like when a director is making a book adaptation, like, no, don't read the book before you come into the movie.
There's something about it that's nice. I mean, obviously we have to watch the material that we're sending, but to kind of stay free from the previous sources, I felt like it was a good idea for me because I didn't want to find myself thinking that I had to do something the same way. It's a strange part of writing for the team. And when we're re-sending, it's really going to happen. Like you can
Yeah.
compare yourself to other writers, and it's a dangerous game at times. It's actually been debilitating for me in my own personal writing journey, which I've shared here on the show before. Like it's not been an easy thing to do. I didn't set out to become a comedy writer. I have an entertaining personality, and I've used my words for a long time, but taking a thought and putting it down on paper and making it kind of like flow from thing to thing throughout, a script, and then thinking critically about what you're watching and finding an interesting way to talk about it. Those things it takes time to learn that. And thankfully, Chris and Jeremy have been really patient. I'm not doing anything that's like not good. They wouldn't have me on the team if I wasn't writing well from the beginning. But like even now, after 3 years, I'm going into my 4th year now, I'm still making improvements in how I write. And part of that is because I watch my partners and I read what they write. I'm like, wow, that's really, really good. Like Chris is kind of like, for me, a goal is to try to write a script like Chris, because I can kind of write like Jeremy, because he'll go off on these silly tangents and I can do that too. Like my imagination just kicks off and I'm just writing down something silly. And I mean, obviously Jeremy writes more than just silly jokes, but like Chris writes these really complex, like plot pick apart things. And that's taught me a lot. But it's not like we sit down as a group and are like, this is what we're going to do. And we're going to teach each other. I've been learning by reading and learning by repetitively doing this over and over again. And it's been difficult to do. So I really didn't want to read or watch the first script because I didn't want to find myself trying to repeat what someone else did. I really wanted to just kind of go at it the Deneé way. And it's easier for me to just write it and walk away from it. And I don't even go back and really listen to a lot of what the comments say or anything, because it's a really strange and deeply personal job in that way. So
Sure.
yeah, but
Well,
it was interesting to go back afterwards though, because there's a lot that was similar.
Well, I think you did all the right things. I
Oh,
loved
thank
the
you.
video.
Good.
It's great. It's a really fun time, and I wrote this down. It's kind of nice watching a Frozen video after all the horror stuff.
Yeah.
Okay.
What a palate cleanser. I will say, just like from myself too, I wrote more sins on this than I ever have to date. So this had the
Wow.
most sins.
You have a number?
140 from me alone.
Oof.
Now,
So,
is that helped because I've watched this with my child multiple times? Probably.
I was gonna ask, like, as a parent, when Frozen was in its heyday,
Hmm.
how many times have you seen Frozen?
Iris was too young. So she was
Oh.
she was born in 17. So we didn't have the Frozen excitement. She definitely has watched this, probably 15 times maybe at this point, but it's not like this obsession, and we don't listen to the soundtrack all the time, but it's definitely something that we can sing together. So I feel like
What is that one that you had to watch 140 times because of Iris?
Octonauts. She's really into like the Netflix shows. She watches those
Yeah,
things
yeah.
quite a lot. But thankfully she hasn't really obsessed about a movie. She really liked Lion King. She watched a lot of Lion King.
I saw a
And
TikTok of these parents showing a like 1.5-year-old Lion King for the first time and showing her reaction to when the dad dies. And it was like hilarious and heartbreaking. At the same time.
yeah.
You're like, she's so naive.
Yeah. Welcome to the world of emotional terrorism. That's really what I feel like I love to do in these
Is
kids
emotionally terrorize
movies.
people?
No, like when I watch a kids movie, I love to get into that mentality of like, what is the movie doing to the kid watching? And that's where
Yeah.
I'm really enjoying sinning. So like in this, that's really like what I'm giving to the sins verse is like the emotional terrorism sins, or the, hey kids, the theme of this is, what they're trying to teach you is to abandon yourself. And like I really like to point those kinds of things out because it's a chance for me to kind of shine, because I really get triggered by what they show in kids movies.
Someone thought ahead and thought little Kristoff eating tools at the end of the row was cute, and it just shows that Arendelle is A-okay with child labor.
That kind of stuff. Like it's just fun to do that. But yeah, I wrote 140 sins on this one. It was the most I've ever written. So the combine process was a little bit of a bitch, but we got through it.
Yeah.
And yeah, I love writing with Aaron. We had a lot of fun. He cut some of my sins. I rarely fight for him. And I was like, are you sure about that? And then he read him again. He's like, nope, we're adding it back. And So it was very much a collaborative kind of thing. So we both really enjoyed it. Like one of the ones though that I was really proud of is towards the beginning is I have a cameraman sin, which is so funny to put in an animated movie.
Well, so again, that's one I didn't write down because like most of my sins were from that first little chunk.
Oh yeah.
And I was just like, I can't write every single sin.
Yeah.
Because then the lyrics say the ice is stronger than 100 men, but I only see 6. I've seen more icebreakers than the first day of junior high summer camp.
It's also fun on this one because we're sending things that you do. Like, so let's say the movie just came out. We don't get to send things like the lead-in is, do you want to build a snowman? And the sin is phrases forever ruined by a movie for 500. Like, we don't have those kinds of things if time hasn't elapsed, and that has been oversaid too many times. There's also a sin about, like when Elsa sways her hips and we sin that hip sway, like people were given this shit, blah, blah, blah. We don't have that perspective on some of the newer movies. So it's fun to sin one that was a big hit because you kind of know what you want to sin. You sort of like know those moments you want to dig into. So
yeah. Conceal, don't feel it, don't let it show. Conversations about condoms somehow make it a kids movie. Gross.
Yep.
And the other one I wrote down because I think this is perfect and clever is this is not the singer in the movie that would be defying gravity.
Yeah, that was Aaron. And what a great point that was.
So clever.
What a nice dig that was. Yeah.
Because it's like the sin itself works, but then it's like you have Indina Menzel right there.
Yep.
Like,
yeah, it was
with
really
her
clever.
most famous song. Well, I don't know. Probably "Let It Go" is now her most famous song, but before Frozen,
it was Defying Gravity. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I won't name them all, but there's a lot of sins in here that are about like the parenting, like the dad shames Elsa immediately, and what's crazy about
you're just like, why can't they just come in and be like, is everybody
okay?
Okay?
Like that's what a parent would say. Also, they should be in pajamas, but that's what a parent would say.
That's what a good parent should say.
Is coming in and
They're
being
bad
like,
parents. They deserve to get shipwrecked,
right? So those things were interesting, and also like the trolls and just how quickly everything, I don't know, it's just how quickly everything is like isolating Elsa, and they do this in kids movies all the time. I've noticed is they take the lead character and they isolate them. The parents are against them, the friends are against them. And it kind of teaches you to fear being alone. And I think that there's a real health in being alone. So I'm super okay with like just killing that in every movie that I ever send that's a child's movie. I'm going to just continue to like, get it. I also like the one because we did like the little thought bubble on this one or the talkie bubble on this one. That was kind of a fun collaboration between the writers and the editors on that. It was like King Agnar does not say this in the scene. And as King Agnar is saying that, the thought bubble or the word bubble pops up and like begins to fill in the word bubble. That was really fun. That's another example of us just trying to kind of fun new clever ways to do some interesting things on screen for you guys. There was a lot in this one that I really liked. I'm really proud of this one.
Yeah, it was great. Really funny.
Yeah, it's fun. It's fun one to sin. I do want to point out one more that made me crack up. This is one of Aaron's. The little stone person is like saying they passed a kidney stone, and so it's like carrying around your kidney stones outside of your butt. Dear God, that poor troll's urethra. When I read it, I was like, oh, that's funny. But then when I saw it, I really cracked up laughing because I'd never realized that the rock troll is holding a gigantic pebble. And so we just like zoom in on it, and that caught me off guard, and I was very amused by that.
That makes it two large objects passing through a urethra sin. Because there's in the House of the Dragon, there's I'm going to push a coconut through your pee hole. And
we accidentally do this stuff all the time.
It's great.
Yeah.
Okay, so that'll take us to Behind the Sinner.
So tell me about yourself.
We're all sinners. Every one of us.
And what happens to sinners?
Get to know each other better, you know?
See, Daddy, sinners have soul too.
The information, it's too much.
Walk away, Mort. Just walk away.
Deneé, I've been asking everybody these questions. I have 2 for you, and then a personalized one for you. So if you had to describe CinemaSins to someone who had never heard of the channel, how would you do it in a sentence or 2?
Oh, it's a comedy channel that is based around a character that watches a ton of content, probably secretly loves all of it, but wants to complain anyway. You're sitting beside somebody who doesn't really want you to know that they're enjoying themselves, so they're going to overcompensate by pointing out everything that they think is wrong with it.
No, I like that. Like, secretly enjoys it. I mean, look, there's certainly some things that, even things that are considered good that people don't like and things that are considered bad that people like. But I like that kind of fold because the narrator is not a joyless character.
No,
So,
no,
yeah.
no. Not at all. But it's just like the idea, like that one person that can't help but talk out loud during the movie and point out the things that they think that are wrong, whether they're right or not. And that's kind of the fun of it. And so that it's a comedy channel, though. I want to point that out.
I can't wait to whenever all these are done. Next week will be the last week of the first round. So I can't wait to like look back and just be like, here's what everybody says about the, what CinemaSins are, because like Daniel described it as your friend. I was like, oh, that's an interesting fold, and like that's something that I never considered. So he's your friend who loves movies, just doesn't want to show it. Love it. So then, what are a few of your favorite sins? I really like the way Daniel described it. He said like ones that you either saw or wrote, and you're just kind of always aspiring to hit that level again.
Oh gosh. Well, the one that I always aspire for is the Grinch Who Stole Christmas one.
Was that the animated or the live action?
The animated one with Benedict Cumberbatch. So on that one where I evaluate the interior versus the exterior of a building, that's probably will always be one of the best sins I've ever written for many, many reasons. Not only was it accurate, but it was clever. It flowed really well. And it took me over an hour to do that one sin alone. So
Oof.
It was and it was one of those things I was talking about earlier where I said, just believe me, I've done the research. The outside doesn't match the inside. And my writing partner, which was Chris, said, did you actually, do that? I said, yeah, I wrote for like 20 or 30 minutes. I just couldn't get it out. He's like, do it again. I'm curious what you can write. And I was like, okay. An hour later, I messaged him. I was like, here it is. And it was just this bulky wall of text, but it just came together perfectly. We had to really tweak it in the editing process to make sure that the arrow is pointed to the right spot in my mind. But it's such a trip to try to get what's in your head onto paper and then into a visual space for everybody else to enjoy. And that's my benchmark. I do try to hit that one, obviously. And it doesn't always work because you don't always see the interior exterior problems. Like it's not every show you watch is going to have that same issue. But when they're really involved and it comes out well, it feels really, really good.
Yeah.
But one of my favorite sins that I have going on right now is when we respond to a lead in with something like says the person who just did this. So like in Sweeny Todd, it was like, I think the lead in was something like, he's no good. He just murdered somebody or whatever. And the sin is like, says the person who just suggested murdering someone. So I don't know when we started or if it's always been this way, but it seems like there's just been this uptick, and this happens because we all influence each other's writing. But I really enjoy it. Like, says the person that just did this. So we're kind of judging the person who's judging the person. And I'm really enjoying those these days.
There was a really clever, kind of similar in the Frozen video where they just say like, we'll be back in a couple days. It's like, she does not.
Yes. Those are really fun. Like you're going to be fine, Elsa. She will not. Yeah. Yep. Those are fun.
No, that's kind of the response of like, says the person that just suggested murder. Yeah, that's great. So then Deneé, everybody's kind of gotten their own personalized thing. And I thought, last week we revived a couple segments, and I thought, you know what? Let's revive another one. Let's have a little bit of Deneé play.
This is the part of the show where I take over. So, okay, you mentioned that you might do a Deneé play. So I wanted to give you one of the things about me that you might not know is that I obsessively hoard interesting articles that I pretend like I'm going to go back to and read later, but I never do. So I'm going to read you some headlines of some articles that I am keeping on my phone that I have not had a chance to read yet. Are you ready? Here's the title of this headline. The smell from a passenger's carry-on bag forced an American Airlines flight to make an emergency landing in Florida. I don't know what the odor is. Like, should I read it and find out? I don't know. It's scary. I don't know that I want. It says there's a chemical odor in the cabin, and that's all. A chemical odor.
It's best not knowing.
Hazmat units performed a hazard assessment due to reports of strong chemical smell coming from inside of the plane. They used an abundance of caution. People were sent to the hospital. People did feel sick. There was vomiting. What was it? It never tells you. And this is why clickbait is so fun. So my question to you, Aaron, is what do you think it was? We don't actually know the answer, so there's no way that you're going to get this right.
It's got to be some sort of roadkill, right? Or
In
like
a
some sort
bag
of
that someone
carcass.
bought on the plane? There's no way that made it through TSA check.
You're right. Okay, you're right. He had to go through TSA check.
Yeah. It's got to be like Axe body odor spray, right?
I wonder if it is a travel size something that popped.
Something popped and it wasn't good.
Yogurt. I'm going to say yogurt.
Okay, yogurt is your answer. Mine is definitely Axe body spray. All right, here's the next one. I'm going to have you fill in the blanks of this one. This is the title. I recently removed blank contact lenses from a patient's eye. In my 20 years as a doctor, I've never seen anything like it. Now, I did read this article because I was really curious about this one.
Blank?
I recently removed blank contact lenses from a patient's eye. This is a true story.
I mean, I feel like the answer I probably would say would be like a colored one, but like they don't make contact lenses for animals.
Well, she's not a veterinarian. This is an actual doctor.
True. I'm still going to say moose because that sounds fun. Moose contact lenses.
23 contact lenses.
Oh, geez. It was a number. That's so many. That's way too many.
So this was a patient that was 70 years old, like in mid 70s, and was wearing single contact lenses, unsure how long they'd been in her eye, but she video recorded it and it went viral. And there were 23 stacked up in her eye.
Did she think they just dissolved after a month?
Or did she forget? I don't know, but it rolled. You know how we have these like little pockets in our eye? Yeah. So it was back in those pockets, just gathering up in there.
Jeez. That's frightening.
Yeah. Here's another one that I saved. Are you ready for this one? This one's kind of interesting. I love science shit. A dish of brain cells figured out how to play ping pong in 5 minutes.
Really?
Yeah. So this is from Science Alert website, sciencealert.com. And it says you can watch along. No, really, it's not a joke. There isn't a punchline. There's an actual answer thanks to a neural network system called Dish Brain. If that game is Pong, the number of brain cells is around 800,000. While their slow-moving, one-sided strategy for digital table tennis won't see them win any esports championships in the near future, it does reflect the potential for fusing living tissue with silicon technology. This is the first synthetic biological intelligence experiment that shows that neurons can adjust their activity to perform a specific task and, when provided with feedback, can learn to perform that task better. It goes on from there, but that stuff is like, oh, I want to dig into that later because this is like, it's kind of scary.
Yeah.
So what do you think of this? This is my Peruse the News segment, and when I launch my own podcast, this will be part of my actual podcast where I go over shit that I can't help but keep.
I'm a big fan of this.
You like it?
This segment idea, yeah. I found, similar to your one, I found out recently this guy I follow TikTok. He's the renegade science teacher. Ooh. And he was talking about how there are 206 bones in the average adult human body. But he goes to point out that like 80% of your bones are just in your hands and feet.
Yeah.
And that's like unnerving.
Yeah. It's so intricate how we have to move those parts of our body, though. It kind of makes sense.
I like this segment. This is a fun segment.
You like it? You want to do one more?
Yes, please.
Okay. I'll do one more, and then we can, do the whole wrapping up thing where we say how much we like each other and where you can find me and all that stuff.
Woo!
I mean, this one's maybe not as exciting, but it's scientists turn plastic into diamonds in a breakthrough. The production of nanodiamonds from PET plastic paves the way towards a new form of recycling and even has implications for exoplanets and that rain diamonds.
That sounds fun.
Yeah. So this one kind of goes on to talk about like planets that actually like have diamonds in their atmosphere.
Although raining diamonds sounds frightening.
Very. In 2017, researchers in Germany and California found a way to replicate those planetary conditions, fabricating teeny tiny diamonds called nanodiamonds in the lab that use polystyrene, aka styrofoam. So 5 years later, and they're back at it again, this time using some good old PET. Let's see. Polyethylene terephthalate.
Nailed
it. According to a study that was published on Friday in Science Advances. So you can go read up on that. But it might be an interesting way to turn our trash into treasure. And that is just part of what, like, I'm going to show you, but this is how many I keep. I am obsessed with keeping interesting things. I can't I can't stop saving them for later because I find them fascinating. And I used to do this on the Shoe the Dough podcast with Aaron Dicer back in the day and we had to peruse the news segment, and it would just literally be me like talking about new stuff that I can't put away. And I stopped doing it for a time and then recently started doing it again. And I realized I'm like, hey, when I launch my own podcast, which hopefully will happen sometime in the beginning of next year, I will be bringing that back because it's just part of my life. So,
well, you'll have at least 2 listeners. Me and I know my wife would love it.
So. I love your wife. She's so sweet.
Nice. Well, before we do move on to the whole saying nice things about each other and promoting things, I just wanted to know, we have to do Beyond the Sins.
To infinity and beyond!
Somewhere beyond my wildest dream.
To boldly go where no man has gone before.
So, Deneé, what is something you want to quickly recommend Warn or reca-warn?
Oh, shit.
You got like a game or an app or
Yeah, so I do have a game that I just found, and I'm kind of testing it. So I like to find games I can play with my 5-year-old, and that gets tricky because a lot of times there's a lot of pop-up ads, and sometimes it's just it looks really fun and flashy, but they're just constantly bombarding you. But I found one called Secret Cat Forest, and at first I was like, well, that sounds crazy, but it is so relaxing. It's essentially just 2 screens. So the game starts, you kind of swipe down, and it shows you this. The entire screen is this like beautiful little house in the middle of a forest. And then the walls fade away and you see the interior of the house. And depending on the kind of furniture that you collect, cats will come and visit. And so there's all these different kind of cats. And
they're so adorable.
You don't get to decide how you kind of get to decide how the cats come and visit you. But essentially you add in furniture, you add in rugs, you add in food, decorations, and all of those combinations will attract different styles of cats that you can learn about. So that's on one screen. And then you swipe to the left and you'll see, and again, it's like very ethereal and beautiful, a big, beautiful tree. And then like this nice little flowing river where you can fish. And all you do is you just touch the tree and it collects the wood that you need to build the stuff for the house. And it just takes like 20, 30 seconds, and you just hold the tree down and it automatically collects. So it's a really easy thing for a little one to do, and it's not too overwhelming or too overstimulating. And because it's a very relaxed scene, the music is also very relaxed. And then you just tap the little fishing pole, and there's like a little fishing game, and you touch on a fish, and there's a little meter and a little arrow that goes up the meter, and when it gets to the red spot, you stop touching it. So it's just like a little quick, easy, very, very simple game. And all of the food that you collect is what also helps to attract the cats. And then after you've played for a couple of minutes, if you have it open too long, a pop-up window has appeared a couple of times for me that says, the cats like to come when you're not looking. It's time to close the app. So it actually encourages you to not play too long. And so it's a clever game.
Great.
It's not overstimulating. It's really calming. And it's definitely one like at the end of the day, if you know your little one or you is just wanting to chill and calm down, it doesn't have to be for kids. But it's a really good one too. They very cleverly like guide you into the game. A lot of times on these like quarter like farming games where you're building stuff, there's like 700 branches of information you can go down. This is incredibly simplified. So it's a really good one. Again, it's called Secret Cat Forest, and I highly recommend it.
There we go. I like that. I'm going to do a quick 2-for-1 because I mentioned I was watching all the Halloween movies, and I finally got to the last one that I had never seen, which is Halloween 2, the third timeline one. And I'm just gonna give my review of the movie with a Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson quote. It's the biggest piece of dog shit. Okay. Now, the other thing is, since I mentioned to you this app called Pocket. So Pocket is this really cool app where you can I have a tweet here from Mike Birbiglia that like, let's say I don't have the time to read right now, but I want to. I just go to share, and you can do this with Facebook, Google, whatever, and you scroll all the way to the side or whatever, and then you'll see you can share
like
it
your app listing. Yeah.
With my app listing, yep. And then you see Pocket here, so you go to add to Pocket, and now it saves it in this app that now I go to Pocket and I see all the articles that I've saved. And it just directs me to them. And then I can like organize them in lists to be like stuff that I like really love and want to have on hand.
Ooh.
Or I could be like on this week's Nay Play or this week's
That's nice.
fun. So it's organizing stuff that you want to like watch for later. So especially like if you're only like on Twitter or Facebook like once a day and you're like whatever, I'll put all the articles here that I want to read, and then I'll read them. Or like if you're in the middle of a workday and all of a sudden your favorite article from New York Times come up or whatever, and you're like, oh, I want to read this, or new article from Deneé Hughes on the CinemaSins Patreon thing about the thing. I got the notification. The notification can go away because I opened it, but I don't have time to read it. Share via Pocket. Really easy.
Awesome.
Really convenient.
Love it.
Well, that'll do it for the show. Thanks, Deneé.
Yeah.
I had a lot of fun.
Yeah. Thanks for having me back on the show. And hi to everybody listening. I miss you all so much. If you want to hang out with me, I haven't been as active on Twitch over the past couple months because of how much, content that we're trying to make for you guys to enjoy. But you can follow me on Twitch, Deneé Says. You can follow me on Twitter, Deneé Says. I'm hoping to be going back and doing more gaming. So if you want to join me for one of my fun roleplay games where I play Red Dead Redemption online on a private server called Wild RP as a wacky character named Babs, who is a cussing menace. You're welcome to join me over there. That's over again on Twitch at Deneé Says.
I really want to see a Twitch stream of you playing Stray. I think that'd be a lot of fun.
Yeah,
like a game where you play as a cat. That's not entirely right. You're over at Twitch once a week on Captain's Pod.
That's true. That's true. We do record our Captain's Pod live on Mondays. So you can catch me there as well. That's at the CinemaSins live channel. So I would recommend if you're not thinking about Twitch, that's totally fine. You can catch all of this stuff for free here in your podcast player. Or if you want to have it up on YouTube, you can go to the CSPN channel and find all of this stuff, there too. But if you ever want to see how the shows are made or kind of even more behind the scenes stuff, you can catch that on Twitch now.
Nice. Yeah, we will hopefully have you on. Definitely sometime in the next 8 weeks, but hopefully soon. Because I miss this. So as far as ways to connect with me, Twitter, Letterboxd at Schweitcastle. And then let me know the feedback, how you think the show is going. Do you just want Deneé to take over? Because I think we all do. No. But just let me know how you think things are going, and any questions or that you have, like, hey, we want you to sin this, or want you to talk about this sin this week. You can send that over to bts@cinemasins.com, or you can DM this BTS Twitter at CinemaSinsBTS. And lastly, don't forget to like and subscribe wherever you're listening. And come back next Thursday for more Behind the Sins content.
Thanks for listening. Send any feedback to bts@cinemasins.com, and be sure to subscribe, rate, and comment. Find more ways to connect by visiting cinemasins.com/BTS. The Grinch peeks into the room, and here comes Mr. Bricklebaum, presumably from the front door, which is now in front of him for whatever reason, which caused me to wonder if this insane Who house has multiple front doors and I missed something. A quick check tells me this door is the entry point of the home, where Bricklebaum brings the dog inside. Side window, front door, blue wall in the background. Great! Except where is the small window beside the front door? And opposite the door, the blue wall has been replaced by a massive fireplace. Is there a door on the other side of the house? No, just this larger window, which should be the back side of the fireplace. From this angle, we can see into the dining room, but there should be a goddamn slide from the dining room to the front door. That shit's obtuse. And before you tell me the windows are higher up the walls, they are not. And there seem to be 2 additional windows, and the roof is shaped differently. And that was clearly worth all the time I spent sinning it.
How's the project going?
I don't know. You tell me.
No. Prepare to be disappointed this week. Is it working? Is it working? Is it working? Is it working?
Looks good to me.
Yay!
And I see the recording. You see the recording in the top left?
Yay! Yes, I do.
Cool.
Yay! I think you're wrong. Do I have evidence? No. Yeah. You backpedal, sir. You backpedal. Thank you for having me on the show. That's me arriving at the show. I feel that.
Yeah.
I feel that deeply. Because the Ryman's in this old church.
Mm-hmm.
And so you're in these pews. And by the way, I'm sitting by Aaron, who can't fit into the pew because his legs are so long. Like, he's so tall. So he had to do the man spread thing, which meant that he was taking up a seat and a half. He was stuck in man spread position for like 2 hours.
Look, being a tall person certainly has its perks, but Airplanes are so much worse as a tall person.
This was smaller than an airplane.
Yeah, so you have like pews and things like that. You have airplanes. You have anytime you're at the grocery store, inevitably some old woman has to ask you to reach something, which is like at least that's a good deed you can do. But like, it's got its frustrations. Mostly the airplane thing.
I've been left alone behind the scenes of the sins. I'm all by myself. And I can see the empty room. He's coming back. And his internet sucks. Hello. And oddly, it makes it look like Ian is very, very tall too.
No, he's just forward.
But he's just more forward in the photo. I'm invited to the show even if I haven't written on something, you know, Aaron.
Absolutely.
Just pawing at your door. I want to play too. I'm being a butt. I'm being a total butt.
Yeah, no, that sounds painful and awful. And bye, Deneé. Yeah, you can always schedule an email for 2 months out.
I like that you believe in us like that.
Just you.
Aw, thanks.
Oh, you don't like when people troll the thing that you love?
Yeah, it's weird, right?
Deneé, let me remind you of your job.
This was an accident.
I was about to say happy accident, but like not really, because like a person died. A person died. A person died. A person died.